Hey Adventurers, today is going to be my wrap up for the month of December 2025. So this is my last wrap up of the year, and then I will have a best books of the year kind of whole year wrap up, and we will see if Kate will join me for that or if she'll do her own video. I'm not sure what the plan is for that yet. Let's take a look here. So the first book that I finished in December is one that I've needed to read for a very long time, and that I'm glad I finally decided to just sit down and do it. And what ended up happening with this one is I've had it on my, you know what, let's show the book first. This is Canterbury Tales by Geoffrey Chaucer. So this is one where I've had it on my shelf for a very long time. I've known I've needed to read it for a very long time. And for some reason, because I had it on my shelf physically, I was thinking, oh, I can't listen to this on audiobook. But that's not the case. I can absolutely go find an audiobook for this one. And so that's what I did. I went and found an audiobook, which is a fantastic audiobook. And it's narrated by multiple different narrators, but two of them are Ray Porter and Simon Vance, who are some of the best in the game. And so absolutely fantastic audiobook. Had so much fun with this. I totally understand why it is as important and popular and influential as it has been. This is a excellent story, excellent book. I love it is short stories. It is a whole bunch of short stories with the framing narrative of all these characters, all these pilgrims journeying together to Canterbury. And so that setup it sets up very nicely for a whole bunch of short stories. Yeah, I really enjoyed my time with it. I really enjoyed a lot of the stories. It is also Arthurian. There's some of the stories that are told at least are King Arthur related. And so, yeah, a lot of really good stuff in here. The final story in this book is probably my favorite of the whole collection. I mean, it's not even so much a story as it is the Parson's Tale. I think that's the one that it is, at least. I'm not sure now, but it's basically just like a gospel message, and there's some really good things to it. It really encapsulated the themes of the whole book really well. I thought the stories told here are drastically different one from the other, and some of them are really fun. Some of them are just like flippant tales. Some of them are really quite worthless, but some of them have some really deep themes to them as well, and I really enjoyed seeing the depth of it. And as I was listening to it, I was like, oh, I understand why it's so important, but it's not really that working that well for me. It's not really my favorite or anything like that. It feels kind of old, kind of dated. But as I came to the end and I was able to understand all of what was going into the story and why Chaucer chose to tell the story and write this book the way that he did, I got it. I understood it, and it really does wrap up nicely. So anyways, that was the first book that I listened to and finished in December, and I thought it was a great book, a great read. The next one I listened to is Kenai by, who's the author? Dave Dobson. Dave Dobson is the author, I believe. And this is one where he sent me the audiobooks. He sent me 2 audiobooks for 2 of his books, Kenai and Daros, I believe is the other one. And so I started with Kenai, and I had a really good time with it. It's really interesting. It plays with some interesting scientific concepts, or basically the direction and flow of time and how that influences storytelling. And I thought he did a really good job with it, with making it make sense. There's a lot of times where I don't care for time travel stories, and I wouldn't so much say this is a time travel story, but there's a lot of times where time travel stories, I don't love them because I can see the flaws in the time travel logic. And so what I got with this one was something that I actually really enjoyed. I had a really good time with this. I had fun with it, and came away really enjoying the book as a whole. I don't think it's a perfect book, but it's something rather enjoyable, and it was a good science fiction to end the year with. And so yeah, I had a good time with this. I do recommend it. I thought the audiobook narration was really good. Overall, I thought this was a really solid book. Then over the past few months, my church has been doing like a youth group type thing, and we've been reading C.S. Lewis's Mere Christianity for that, and just doing some discussion type stuff. And so we've been going through it rather slowly. I'd read, I don't know, whatever the first book is called, however long that is. It's 34 pages-ish, something like that is the first book, his book 1. And so I'd read that previous to, or in a prior month. I ended up coming back to this one and just finishing it on audiobook, even though I have the physical copy, and it was reading fairly quickly actually. I needed an audiobook and I had it, and so I went through and read it on audio, and I enjoyed it. I don't have a ton of thoughts. I do need to reread it again, read through it once more, just to really solidify my thoughts on those last 3 or 4 parts of the 4 books. There's 4 books, and so I've I read the first one and understood it, or read the first one and reread it. I don't know. It doesn't really matter. Anyways, I read this one. I enjoyed it. There's a lot of really good stuff in here. It's very much more leaning towards the practical aspects of understanding Christianity and understanding the Christian beliefs. Just the very basic ones, not anything too complex or anything like that, but some very, very baseline beliefs and logicking yourself through to these beliefs and why you believe these things. And so some really good stuff in here for sure. I enjoyed it quite a bit. And yeah, that's really all I have to say about Mere Christianity. Probably that won't be getting a review. The next book I listened to was another reread, and that is Dreadnought by Andrew D. Meredith. This is the fourth volume in his Collation saga, and I have previously reviewed it. It's a fantastic book. I really enjoyed it, but I wanted to reread it and well, a couple reasons I wanted to reread it. First off, Liam from Liam's Lyceum has been reading through these, and his enjoyment and his thoughts as he goes through them has made me want to pick it back up, and like I've been enjoying that greatly. But also I was just really feeling Collation Saga and really feeling like going back into it for a little bit. And this is the only book that I had not reread. I'd reread the first 3 books in the saga, and so I wanted to go back to this one and reread it because I found that with each of these 4 books, the first time I grasped it quite a bit and I really enjoyed it, but then the second time going through it, I grasped even more and really understood what Meredith was doing with the books. And so I found that to be the case with books 1, 2, and 3. And so I was like, all right, let's do this with book 4 as well, and reread book 4 because I really want to, because I'm really feeling Collation Saga at the moment, because Liam's going through them. And because of that, I decided to go back and re-listen to Dreadnought. And again, fantastic. I just really enjoy Meredith's writing and his world and this Collation Saga. And all the stuff that he's doing and with this story, it's great. He's a great storyteller and just a fantastic series. So really glad I went back through this one. I'm not going to review it, but just an absolute joy to go through and reread, and a great way to kind of close out the year quite a bit. This December, even though it's a lower reading month in terms of amount of books that I read or completed, it's been a great month with just books that have really kind of in a lot of ways have really encapsulated me as a reader and what the way that I think and the way that I feel, and just really reinforced a lot of my thoughts and opinions on things. And so it's been a really good reading month in that way as well, and a great way to end the year for sure. So, but Dreadnought, just fantastic. It's a great pause to the saga while he works on books on the second half, starting with book 5. And so it's a great place to pause and take a breath and say, okay, I can wait a few minutes. I can wait a little while until the next book comes out. And it's a great spot, a great stopping point or pausing point, I guess, before getting into the rest of the series. And so, yeah, I'm very, very pleased with this. Very glad that I reread it. Had a ton of fun with it. So the final book that I listened to in December was The Long Patrol by Brian Jakes. This is, of course, a Redwall book, and this is one that I have read in the past. I do remember reading it in the past. I remembered absolutely nothing about it, and so it was basically like me going into this book blind for the first time, and it was so good. This is one of the best Redwall books I've read, and it was fantastic. The things that were being explored, the storylines that were happening, the lore that we were getting, the world, the way that it was building itself, and we were learning new things and seeing new things. It just absolutely fantastic. Some cool tie-ins to previous books that are very subtle in their tie-ins in the sense that they are references back, but not required. The previous books aren't required reading or anything like that to understand what's going on here. It's just, Long Patrol was just fantastic. I had so much fun with the series, or with the book. I had so much fun with the book. I had so much fun reading what was essentially a new story to me. And yeah, I enjoyed this book greatly. I had, just a fantastic time. And it was a great way to end the year for me, reading not only from one of my favorite series of all time, but also a book that I didn't remember, and coming away enjoying it as much as I did. It was a fantastic experience. I'm so glad that I did that, and just had a wonderful time reading Long Patrol, and I can't wait to get to my review of this one because there's some really fun things that were going on in this book. So that was the last book that I finished in December. However, it was not the last book that I read in December. And how exactly does that work? Well, I finished it on January 1st in the morning, like early morning. Like I stayed up all night trying to finish it and I couldn't quite finish it. But this is one that I reread every year. This is The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. And this book is so good. I enjoy this book so much. I have so much fun every single time I go through here. I think I started it on December 1st. I can't remember for certain, but I believe it was December 1st that I started it. And couldn't progress through it as fast as I was hoping to or wanting to. And so I ended up on the 30th, not even being halfway through the book. And so I was in Out of the Frying Pan into the Fire, that chapter. And they were all up in the trees. And then on the 30th, I read just a couple of chapters. I finished Out of the Frying Pan into the Fire, read Queer Lodgings, and started into Flies and Spiders. And then I couldn't read anymore. I got super tired, falling asleep, etc. And so I put it down and came back to it on the 31st and going through Flies and Spiders and read the rest of the book throughout the 31st of the day. It came to about 8 o'clock at night and I was like, all right, it's time to sit down and just read through this. Maybe 7:30, something like that. And so I sat down and started reading, and I could see the end approaching, and I was checking the time. I was like, I'm not going to make it. I'm not going to finish this book in December. And technically I didn't. It was about 1:30, I think, by the time that I finished it. I'm a slow physical reader, but I read basically half this book yesterday. I'm filming this on the 1st, on January 1st. So I read basically half this book yesterday, made a lot of progress through this, sat and read it for like 5 hours straight, which is fantastic. I don't do that nearly enough, and I love getting the opportunity to when I do. So yeah, I did complete my reread of The Hobbit, and I'm including it on this list, even though I didn't technically finish it in December, because I finished it in my December reading, which was that because I was reading through the night, crossed over the midnight. I will mention it in my January wrap up, but I'm not going to really talk through it. I read it from this Tolkien Illustrated edition and is great. I love Tolkien's illustrations are fantastic. There's so much atmosphere, so much character, so much warmth to his illustrations. Just brilliant. I love his illustrations. I will say I was a little disappointed that there's not more. I felt like there could have been quite a few more illustrations or doodles or whatever from Tolkien that were included in here. And of course, I don't know what all there is that exists for his illustrations, but there was a lot. Don't get me wrong, there is a lot, but I wanted just a few more. I wanted a few more little things, and they weren't there, and that's fine. But yeah, I was a little bit disappointed in that, as fantastic as the story is, and it does not need the illustrations. The illustrations are fantastic and I love them. It doesn't need them. The story is fantastic as it is. Actually, the foreword there's a really cool foreword in this book to the 50th anniversary edition, and a note on the illustrations that come before the start of this book. And so there's some really great stuff in here to go along with it, and I really enjoyed reading through that information as well. And of course, I don't get me wrong, the illustrations are great. I love them so much. I just wanted more, because I think it's because in the Lord of the Rings, in the illustrated Lord of the Rings, there's so many. There's just tons of things that I'd never seen before. And most of the ones that were in here are ones that I have seen in the past. And so I think because of that, I was wanting a little bit more. That's not to say that there's not a ton, because there are. Let's see. It tells me there are 51 illustrations plus a map of the Wilderland, and then of course the map of Thor's map. So there's like 53 things in here to look at, as well as the story itself. So it's not like there's not anything in here. There's a lot in here, but I love his art, and I love his art style, and I love the atmosphere that he brings into it. And so I wanted more. I wanted more. That is why I have the what is it called? Pictures by J.R.R. Tolkien. I do have that book, and it's beautiful as well. So anyways, that is my reading for the month of December. Oh, I am supposed to mention my favorite book of the month. And usually I don't do rereads for my favorite book of the month, but because this is one where it essentially wasn't a reread, even though I have technically read it a long time ago in the past and I just didn't remember it, I'm going with The Long Patrol by Brian Jakes. I thought this was an excellent book, an excellent story, a great piece of Redwall. Yeah, just a fantastic story all around. And I had a ton of fun reading The Long Patrol, and I'm very, very glad, and I'm very, very happy to be able to say that a Redwall book became my favorite book of the month. And yeah, it was a great experience. I had so much fun. Of course, the audiobooks are fantastic. Oh, I didn't even mention this. There's a poem, or there's a song right at the very beginning of The Long Patrol that is just beautiful. Just Jakes is a very, very underrated poet. He's fantastic. So that poem at the beginning, the song, the performance, the music that's given to it, it's fantastic. Really sets the tone for the rest of the story. Just brilliantly. Loved it so much. But there's also a poem in the, is it the epilogue? I think it's the epilogue. It's the writing. It's the extracts from the recorder of Redwall. The recorder of Redwall has her extract at the end of the book as generic for Jakes' Redwall books, and there's a poem in there written by one of the character in World characters, and it's just a very beautiful poem as well. And to have this story bookended with just a beautiful, haunting song, and then essentially ending with this very beautiful piece of poetry. It was just a great way to start and end the book, and I just really appreciate Jakes. The more I read his books, the more I'm like, this guy was fantastic. He's one of the greats of the genre for sure. So yeah, I think this has been a longer wrap up than normal, but I had good reading, even though I only completed 5 books, and technically did not complete The Hobbit in January, but 5-6 books in December. It was a good reading month. It was a very good reading month. I had a lot of great reading, had a lot of really good, just all around. It was every book that I read, I greatly enjoyed and had a good time with and appreciated a lot about. So anyways, that is my reading wrap up for the month of December 2025. We will continue on here with the rest of my end of the year videos that will probably take me into February or March because of how many of them I've got to do, but that's okay. I'm glad of that. I like having videos to do. So thank you guys for watching an Erudite Adventure. We post videos every Monday and Thursday and have our social medias linked in the description below. We will see you guys again soon. Stay warm.